kwa manche. Right, emo bi akwa about the basketball sare na braso say chance na fe dey agudi mu nsem dey bro. Na agudi mu nsem na dey bro dey kwa be fa so be debate. Say the matches na dey ho akwa atwe nya asem ketu akra. But still ebi ikoso ye dey be bro. Hwe. E na say anya yi kra na background e ho. Background e brutal. Me na mka kiro. Any aviator na ya misro kakra. But still we will bet responsibly. Nya bet 20 cedi ani ashada ko try. Oh, to bo ase o like a pine because you are anyes kakese any di bet kese. Akwe odi 3 billion. Ade odi twa akwe no 10 cedis. No di 3 billion. It will 10 cedi kura betu ma sanya ma bebre. Enti your name I bet for a shabum. Papa nyasem ketoa. Na afi bibia so no atumi aiden. Atumi akoye. Channel say show na live. Facebook, YouTube no MYBET.AFRICA TV, MYBET.AFRICA TV. MYBET. Africa. 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 Na fi ude TV na den asoso. Na bibia so atumi aiden. Atumi akodu anu abomode anu subscribe to the YouTube channel. Na fe woni yen de yen hwemo ye ni muze season started there big games we will stream your best streaming in live now so we commentary ni ade na fe we say yeah boy juma because next season enye easy a season at Chelsea ba beje league age Champions League na me catch you Gittins Gerard Brathwaite brother na nyanya nkopon say yaba Dilap Liam Mr. Chairman for 19 jese no membe jiji wani mmehye no ma 9 jese no tie yasa na me kacho no futuo na me dem ma no sha o 19 na yese wo ye Diego Costa English Diego Costa sha 19 no mo amutu no vuzo onhye 9 no ye mpa asem ayibia enti ye beba sansem ne so joining on Facebook ABN Radio 1 ABN Radio 1 ABN Radio 1 Saso and a street is watching you're streaming live na who say corner the eba akọ blue mineral water so yasen saso na my bet udi e betua ha anya izo my bet udi pa me say na anu anajo no me ye bet na me die that's the Saturday anajo no me ye bet Saturday na minister na me twa 20 cedis me sorry and I mean was a crying congratulations because you know this is and this say hi Charlie my bet you want to put up me sorry first time me congratulations na I debi ebe rua me no starting na me to ayi nyum sa because na me ho nye anya izo ti bet the head papa but u twa na o de adwan to ho sika e de asoma o school fees men fam me twa o dan and now say me pay 2 hours na they are to masa 1.01 hours crash say and na me pay 2 hours na me dey akoka woni be ba onso no na school fees na hwemeko enti men koye sa de no enti ne yaka che o say brana no ye ntra ye be ma 4 hours 5 hours wo di 20 wo di 30 now dey to akire udi a onfa onsan kaskan ne asa ma de che ma 4 hours na wasa de ni nyina akogu so sa ne ye no ene ye friend roll over no na de we wa say we de udu sika udi ko to school fees ni ade my bet kra catch yourself bet responsibly so bet ni nyansam na fi bibia so ye den enkoye ene transfers na nye easy ha transfers na say Chelsea for no de obo o enyasam ketu akra Chelsea for no yesi omo pese omo finish adwuma no and manimu ya eti yesi brand your friend Gittins ana entia ne trese omo ye den omo hwe no de omo ba na kwa na friend Jacob and then the Sternberg o dintro brutal oye adwuma guardian akwa no ontwato ono ana be report say Sancho ye we ye de na come back Chelsea kwa kutua we zenye no kre anya no kre say reliable information ni say Chelsea aka kire say obeden omema na tena but won say Man United no mo run team ni papa bia nti ono sika o mo de man no next dodo and omo Chelsea chance omo onye renegotiation Chelsea the any say performance based wage and omo ye de omo de ma say no omo ye bia ma ko pa ma na me no ka se kai sedo omo hwe se omo be increase in way omo ye bia ma Nicholas Jackson ene da sore ya Jacob Dienstein o se de yen e de abetu Chelsea almost all Chelsea players ni na no ni Madueke Nicholas Jackson omo nyina je osi o pese o kire se Sanchez mu nyina Chelsea open to silent them e wona mu za ko twantro bruta guardian oye adwuma guardian omo kan okre tie no ne de wo no transfers ni bebre say coaches ne so ko talents real Lazio ene Mauricio Sarri returning as soon as say Antonio Tutu Conte or Napoli Max Allegri so join AC Milan nya subget to Accra ena papa ye friend no Gasparini so no join AS Roma ko replace the Tinkerman Claudio Ranieri. Man United etumi assign first summer acquisition abrante ye friend no Matthias Kuna na nkofo ne se omo hwe ne mu se omo de Mbembo Brian Mbembo be den ba be ka ho na mfimfin no mkope Watson na ba one Ederson enya asem keto nkofo ne ni abre pa esi goalkeeper be friend Savage Milinko Savage o Torino ono na omo hwe ne mu se omo kwa kofa na ba nya asem keto nkofo ne ni abre omo si na season there omo chi obi a 80 omo show 4-5 sa na so makoje leke ti be Roma United Arsenal so matam kutu ye nima de omo ye Sesco de betwa mu ba ko no afi ayelem ye hu de omo ye ho ti Chelsea na je ne ho me na pa enya asem keto akra wo honom enti ye behwe Champions League sana osaka basa etimi qualify ko because Champions League idie final idie monyon enya Inter for no massa brutal na ebe rom die enti na Inter at the crucial part of the season enyema ajiegu sama chese trophies miensa ne nyina omo lusu ne nyina ende mi no kase omo coach Simeone Inzaghi ese by Tuesday yotna no mo hu se otna na asa okọ Ahilal Cristiano Ronaldo yese ne anasafo ne ne di nkomo se onya abotre ombe sign players correct e di amane na next season ono so waje trophy na fi oni anasa project no fa so ayeden aba ho akwa ne se so ma anye ne ntema an sign players papa amfa ma obeja team no no wa join Ahilal eno ne eye ntia eba na oba Ghana Premier League so a enya asem keto a ye mobiem patre enya easy Holy Stars baseke omo na anu ye omo ba he omo mafia Ghana Premier League baseke Holy Stars na anu ya no mba yo omo mafia team ono beto no league dem sanity ti be ram Ghana Premier League no na fi ye de emu komo so etumi aba medin the list to Benedict to aba before e be ram no was some better education crucial how we be register ni ade nti ye nhwe na fi ye ye no mfiri wo na fi ye me ram wo UEFA Champions League we are na fi the rat transfers from coaching to players.
Yeah, list of majors we ye chia ahwefo na so mo hwe ne Monday ye nenim se MYBET and aso ya sense na program be ba so na bibi etimi akoye nti ene utie a betting platform betimi aboa mo etimi nye ska MYBET.AFRICA MYBET for my access FIFA Club World Cup be ba so yi ubetimi atwa wo mo platform before FIFA Club World Cup no ese won so timi peska kakra to ho nti enu nti no omo virtuals any casino games and omo kase brana be join na won so timi fiscal ho nti ene ko www.mybet.africa ewo browser no uwe mu a top right corner be hu icon bi a circle ni green umia so a registration wo boss wa simple registration in yedin just 3 simple steps no etimi register. First one your phone number ubo phone number ni shema. The next one your username ubo username ne no betimi ayedin bia wo nickname ufie din bibia but time bia me ka say ya fa number e ka ho se ne betimi ama na unique compared to any other username or platform ne so na fi de obo password e twato udi ubo password ni wi am register ne pe MYBET for be send verification now they are verify our account no o verify account wi we wie wa ba be kan busua ne ho ene ohwe lower bar na obehu casino obehu virtuals near instant football nti na owie ma obehu instant game within 1 minute 2 minutes betim dia fisika e o MYBET.AFRICA emu edeyi enya afi na obetwen 90 minutes ansa no fisika owie ma wa foul teams within 2 minutes omabo stimulation type of football na ma no etimi aiden afisika uwa casino honso a obetimi enya aviator eni aviator papa obetimi afisika within some 5 minutes wait ma for 10,000 na MYBET.AFRICA omo bank run omo other casino games I bet me I enjoy into any raho omo 200 plus casino games into raho na unso fisika MYBET.AFRICA ansa na show nbe ko na wie na unso timi raho a wait me afa osika kakra de atu boto ma na ho be de de ewura juni mu
right sa enetie ti MYBET hu komo na MYBET hu de ro ne body a cho no chairman yenra mu ewo game no yes
the Champions League final a course so I think me can ha Friday ni said this final bia e ba kiti me friend Paris Saint-Germain so betimi wini. Secondly, na me hu ni say game no likely say betimi hu 1.5 or 2.5. Na bia Munich Stadium no being that stadium they hu say crowning new 4 Champions League winners. No munji bida. And the second thing na back Paris Saint-Germain team ni obi a wabo in the last 10 finals akoso no team no obo home near likely so no so be wini who from the Real Madrid, Chelsea, Man City muni na etimi ewini na bibia back o muntina on the night na kwan bia so no Paris Saint-Germain team bia eso mutimi wini ahead of Inter Milan. We performance wise team ne ball na bibia di Paris Saint-Germain team. On the night I was very disappointed ewe Inzaghi mu, especially in say Inzaghi one of the top coaches coming from the Serie A, which me aboy in 3 seasons ni with me we had the Champions League final mienu yemfa lack kekene di raho more of structure game plan any bibia na the raw game simu na otimi di wini hwe ne lineup or the ba na the lineup na obi ahwe Pavard yenenim say wa messe games ni bebrebo otimi bewe Masebi, Bastoni, Di Marco, Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu, Barella, Dumfries, and Martinez, and Thuram, and a starting man, and a Suma, a dapo num at the air day, Emano. We share this setup on any day. This is the team at Inter Milan the winning games. No, the be winning games no based on the counter attack football, making sure some move to flanks ni and making sure the ball ni beti me akwa kodu Thuram, and Martinez ho amo meti me the winning. You have Paris Saint-Germain team now: Donnarumma, Hakimi, Marquinhos, Pacho, Mendes, Joao Neves, Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, Desire Ade, we are friends saying Dembele and Kvaratskhelia and so na start almost our main team on the start of games this season. We want the Paris Saint-Germain they call into any difficult game, any crunchy game, and here that particular 3 point and a winner. This is their likeliest lineup on Bekofo. On the night, no be expected it to be a difficult game, but senior Mekan Hano, I didn't see anything about this game being difficult. I didn't see Americans and say these are 2 teams Inter Milan on any day or pursue jab ball na obo. O the obo ball na o the ball mo half omu intercept ya na afi the o start so mbebo ball na free echi. Omu yes omu bobo na free echi. Omu ball ba ku mienu no ma ball long akwa koma omu wing backs no na akwa kopie Thuram ono omu nso de enyo omu go. And na Paris Saint-Germain this season ade ba akwa omu nso o mani gi ho say why wadwin say obetine echi na mo omu mbobo no. Yes, I do maybe you team no ye panty. On the night, 2 teams no structure no na a bois Paris Saint-Germain ye pan because Inter Milan nye na dwen so be pie ni o ma ba bebo. Na otinechi enso atwen o no. E mom betimi possess ball ni ye. Hakimi was a key factor e Paris Saint-Germain lineup no. Ade Inter make say say omuni team o bo na team no impress you ma. Oktimi ko nenim boss a free roll ni wewura be bia o park ne so. Nunti who say Otimisha our first goal in the 12th minute. Inter Milan set up no Di Marco, Bastoni, they were players and there's omutimi mark omo players here, especially Hakimi and Desire Day. With Paris Saint-Germain team no, that right flank no, and a crucial position mom. And nunti Desire Day ni Hakimi ombebe mu ye and making sure say omo beba be eden aba be real box mag fasa final balls no mo de beshe. On the night I think Yebebo Luis Enrique Abaso. With him build the team way ye pa. O share the way a movie off the ball on the ball pose omo ball ne right back ne so on go into those half spaces who say ne midfield 3 no obi drop be boa echinuma back 3 na back 4 ni timi ye adwuma. That is one thing here as a good coach with me am bibia ba so simple ama team ne say their interchanging of position no had ba ko affect you. I think on the night Usman Dembele being the key man and obi ahwe say na obetimi iron adwin so be she goals and obe provide nyama bebre nti na interfo ahoodin na e was okay e mark Dembele on your key man on the night to provide it with 2 assists or drop it down to make sure say obetimi abobo ni ye. Me be explain Paris Saint-Germain on setup ni ye patch ahwefo. Me ye ba be start show now ka say nke say Barcelona timi win because na Barcelona betimi akwa
yeah, we would have gotten an epic final.
Listo. Ka Barcelona win ma Kenya Mwa say we can see that Bayern Munich A2 no the share Barcelona no. We can see something similar. Maybe explain your identity. With Paris Saint-Germain setup no. Omo ma pressure. Omo make sure say utine chia the ball ni hia. Oni omo bo a ye bebo pass say the ebi mu. Enu ntina say upese on Paris Saint-Germain bo a uhia that robust type of midfield on betimi stop Vitinha and Joao Neves from getting enough play on the ball or determine the position of the game. Ye name himself Barcelona setup Pedri. We friend is saying Dani Olmo. They like to have the ball. Person ball, but say yen stop players, yen core tackles, nye that good, especially when it comes to European top leagues. No, Paris Saint-Germain against Arsenal, who the likes of Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, Odegaard, they are very good tackling and trying to get hold of the ball. But in the way of stop Paris Saint-Germain midfield, but not in 180 minutes. So with Barcelona, no, one thing is that Barcelona play a high line game. And with Paris Saint-Germain, Adeba akwa betimi abo against you omo ubebo abo omo say ubo high line. The likes of Kvaratskhelia, Desire Dey, Dembele. Why these front 3 are now the best front 3 in the world? They say they are all two-footed. Omo timi di omo 9 mienu ni bo bibia. Nti enei enya afi na maybe Kvaratskhelia kwa kunya ball ni wo position afili so ntimi fa the left ne mbo or the left ne be hyew. Dembele betimi a drop akọ baby akọ akọhye. Na one thing Ebema Yati Ade we are seeing is Inter Milan against Barcelona. The high line boy Inter Milan here because with the counter attack football now no more. That is now Paris Saint-Germain in Barcelona. They would have used that high line perfectly to themselves. Unya sa Kylian Mbappe Mudiana they will be setting upside there. Dembele will drop, Kvaratskhelia will drop, Desire Dey will drop. We need also now the likes of with Hakimi and Mendes and the overlapping Pokoshe goals, no. So I've seen a lot of things going on. So Barcelona a deserving final way. Yes, Barcelona would have scored goals against Paris Saint-Germain team on any night. But how would they be able to stop Paris Saint-Germain from scoring? Is a big no. Inti I wouldn't be surprised in Kenya's final and Kebabinya maybe a 4-2 or a 5-BB, a high score line. But this has been one of the worst Champions League final. And final, of course, on the Saturday, the last Champions League final in high scoring with a clean sheet was AC Milan Barcelona in 1994-1995. Barcelona conceded 4-0 in a final. Inter Milan let break our record of conceding 5 goals. And on the night, if the likes of Dracula was clinical, in KB and Kibet 7-0, 8-0, because on your 2 clear chances, win to me but Luis Enrique. The team now was share this season. No, me person me share the Club World Cup against some of the top teams, against some of the teams almost so eba out ebo. Never share the way obetimi fit into that Club World Cup. Ebi obetimi aje that competition. But on the night, Inter Milan were poor. They were disappointing. Me unsa Sebi, Italian national team ya friend impossible they be on team in bebo. And I feel say on the night they lost their motivation, especially playing into the hands of Paris Saint-Germain and Nuntina. Yetimi who that scoreline. Ebebo Luis Enrique Abaso. On the night, it was an emotional night for him as a coach. Ye name himself Neba 9 years I friend Zana Wetime Amesino. Ene Obeka say on the night Nebani ni ho, but Nebani spirit betimi a at the end of the day nko nya anka Nebani wo because na Nebani obi ope party spa. Inti no himself nkomuti miji cap no dey. That is Paris Saint-Germain flag ne bekwa kosi the center of the pitch no na celebrate. Be ne Nebani ni o wetimi agi trophy na me bo Paris Saint-Germain fans ne so abaso ye pam. Leaf one year Nina was exhibiting that particular thing, and Luis Enrique boss send the bani betimi aye ni wetimi agi the trophy. The first trophy am a Paris Saint-Germain agi the second treble as a coach or year with Barcelona and they wetimi asan year with Paris Saint-Germain, and they almost said they are adding 1 or 2 players and make sure say next season they will dominate Europe and also dominate the world.
Yeah, what went wrong this season for Inter Milan? Because they were very solid, very strong from the start of the season. At some point, they were leading the table. Table near there. Even in the Champions League,
they were performing well.
Conceded only 1 goal in the group phase. They were, I think, second to Liverpool.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, they were conceding goals left, right, center.
Yes. Share Inter Milan set up now. Italy. Bourbon is different from Europe.
But even in Europe, they were conceding less.
Why they were conceding less in Europe? They said their teams were not high scoring teams. Against Arsenal, Arsenal against Atlanta, game plan structure. Arsenal went into that game purposely to get a draw, and Arsenal against Inter Milan, it was something similar. And the toughest opponent, or Metimaka said on paper, they met in that group phase. Arsenal were one. And that game, Inter Milan won that game with a penalty. So they go into games allowing the teams to play. You call Sparta Praha. And in the first half, a team like Sparta Praha were dominating Inter Milan. But they were able to get their 2 goals and win. So it was something Inzaghi style of play, and Nabuano. And one thing I say, from the start of the season, their performance were good. It was based on DiMarco performance. So Utimi, he was one of the best goal contribution in their team with goals and assists. Bedu baby a DiMarco form ne drop here no. Dumfries enso etimi increasing the goal contribution and also eboa. That midfield 3 na obono. Their goal contribution in game are low. Share the likes of Chanoglu, Mkhitaryan and Barella. They don't add a lot of goals to the team. But they are like a defensive shield. It is a Inter Milan Ekutabola. They are defending with likely 6 players. Now the wing backs now they are supposed to join attack. No, they only join attack on counter attacks. It is a Inter ball pana. Maybe their opponent are with the ball. You see them defending with 8 men and just 2 up front. In defense, Thuram and Martinez. And if you are playing this against a fully attacking team, you will suffer. We saw it against Bayern Munich. We saw it against Barcelona. And now against Paris Saint-Germain. Because these are teams, they wouldn't slow the ball. Or the ball initial. And the only thing that stopped Barcelona from defeating this Inter Milan setup was they didn't know when to now possess the ball and slow the game.
No, but it appears on the day, I say, yes, if you are giving the opponent the ball, a good strategy, good approach. If you meet Jose Mourinho and you or ball now, a dangerous crowd because or control game from the defensive counter point of view. You are playing 3 back with your wing backs dropping, with your 3 midfielders dropping, including one of your strikers. Even though 2 strikers, they all press near the elbow low block. How was it so simple for PSG to just penetrate? They didn't struggle. It was not like say, as a year sweaty, as a year possible. And I think that this is their cheapest game throughout the Champions League campaign, even against Stuttgart now,
and even against Brest.
Yes, it appears that PSG cheapest game was in the final.
Yes, and one thing in PSG now, the easiest game in the Champions League, based on the way Inter Milan set it up. Senior boss, they are defending with 5, but as they are defending with 5, PSG team no, omone Arsenal be can as hope so PSG weakest link, and no necessarily greatest weapon, and Hakimi. At the Inter make us and say PSG in their game, no, they set up in a way almost set it up with a 3-back system. And with a 3-back system, no, they try to let Hakimi play those half spaces, no, until Hakimi goes into those right half spaces, no, to get chances and create overload up front. Into the second goal, Paris Saint-Germain share on the night, Boni copy Dembele, no. They were looking at, okay, Dembele na ebo 9 and on Nenamha. So let's all shift and close him. Into Dembele kuta ball no Inter Milan players 3 and I know around Dembele. Then the nearest player now could bet me nya ball no from Dembele was Fabian Luiz. Onu onko box no. Obetwen wo outside the box. Inti no meaning so that Fabian Luiz okay obe run near Dinichi. Then Desire Day will close. Inti Desire Day ebetwen the likes of Dimarco Abim. Then now Hakimi, being that greatest weapon, now gets into the box and do whatever he wants to do with the ball. Inti on the night, no, Hakimi ebe a decoy Emma Dimarco. Then Desire Day would get the easy ball. Jose Mourinho a defender against this Paris Saint-Germain team is more of a man marking to stop them. 2 players, 3 players don't go on 1 player. And no na Inter Milan weakest with transition and on person here. Ube who said Dembele ball, we want to close them with 2 players. And against Barcelona, they were doing something similar. We were friends saying Lami Ama Jibola, Ubon se Bastoni, any Dimarco agent and so. Then other players will come in. But the only thing that stopped Barcelona from dominating was Barcelona defensive line wasn't that good. And with Paris Saint-Germain, they defend with 6 players. Omako Menima, they defend with 5. And the 5 they are defending with Marquinhos, Pacho, Mendes, and Joao Neves, and Vitinha. And these 5 players, these 2, Vitinha is the weakest link among them. Untimin disposable ye, Untimin taki boy ye.
On the ball, solid.
On the ball, very solid. So if you want to dominate this Paris Saint-Germain team, you make your friend is saying your left winger. That on the night, now Inter Milan any left winger. Dimarco going forward, no show say Ewe Chino, Desire Day, and Hakimi, ebe overlapping. So now, on the night, now I was expecting say he should have switched to a 3-4-3, opening up the game, bringing in the likes of Correa, the likes of your friends Fratesi. No muntimi ma Hakimi, that way of staying back. And in Paris Saint-Germain 3 back, no, the cover ma Hakimi, Marquinhos. And in that 3 back, no, eba pace. Eba Huadian, he's the weakest. But Eba experience, he's one of the best. Intino, if Ubenyo Bino betim the pace are outsmarting, Ubetimania the best out of your team. And on the night, they didn't do well. Dimarco ain't need that enough pace to outsmart with Marquinhos. And Nuntini who say,
I think Adia D Simeone Nyaye, he didn't manage the squad well.
Yes.
Because if you want to win the treble, at this stage, this is a football now, you're highly intense. Every match, beer comes with a challenge.
Different, yeah.
So if you want to win the treble, then how we're managing the squad and it wasn't right. Because you see, no, our good squad depth.
Yeah, by Italian Serie A, more be a new squad depth in Milan. Yeah.
But how on earth was De Vrij not getting opportunity to play as many matches and still using? I remember almost some of them games he was still using Acerbi and Bastoni. We are game on watch. I say either we pra and I say yellow card and Abibi. Every time you even Bishek injury to Pavard.
Yeah.
And a training about team anymore. How on earth say Pavard ever from injury now? Obabe to Bishek with Bishek form against Barcelona. I was asking, say, why is it that Dumfries and Dimarco, I drew some point. One rely on Carlos Augusto majority of the minute, because see what I realized was that a wing backs no pay, and I know the luxury of maybe 70th minute no way omo no the maybe Damian no or the Augusto de naba yi na ebia ye kakra no yi Chahanoglu ed nafrim you see say Nicola Barella ebo emrekwa wo Zelensky she strikers are not okofa bae even Anatovic Krano wasn't that bad. But omane tra bench check what to me call 5 6 7 matches na players yi enya any minute ya de papa
I think sir Ushen squad management he was very poor.
Very
poor. I didn't make us and there were some games in the league. And Ushen Inter Milan set up now. They have young players on the bench. Young players on the bench. On the night, their games are you blend them. You blend the young plus the experience. No, to me, they need a good setup. Omo their game against Barcelona in the league game. Omo arrested players. No, you could see the tempo of the game. Said they were more possessive. They were speed in the game. Or this Zelinski mo any Correa mo be mo. They were very good on the ball. One thing I had Inter Milan team near the Italian Serie A, about the league bia, the competition is very low. They are okay going for players. Waboni ball newe no about me be Inter. Into your squad ni ma 35. 33, 37, 35 players in a good team. No? And it has been a problem. Who share this Champions League? I mean, say, with virus, the better so amamia. Conference League, Team Oji, Europa League, Team Oji, any even Paris Saint-Germain, Team Oji, Champions League. The average age, and then I'm 23. 20, 24, 20.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, the average age was
24.6.
As against, yeah, it was basically 24. And I went at 30.8.
Yes. Into Usha, she say football no, and more about experience ni bebre. Say coach ni good. Na nkwala ne tie adwuma na coach ni person oye na sia. You get the best out of your squad. And that is simple. Into you who say against Barcelona, everybody was saying say Usha Inter Milan set up we ma bre. Barcelona were using the young chaps to get the energy in the game. One managing a squad here. There were times I wasn't expecting Martinez, the likes of Thuram even starting league games.
Yeah. Thuram, he was of injury.
But still they were playing him in games. In the Champions League final, you need a fresh squad, a team more to dominate the game. No? And I wasn't expecting Pava to start this game. A player coming from injury into a high profile game like this was poor. Bishek was good. Onunsu be mu na nche no the same prayer no the game. And their games also to me blended. That midfield three between Chanoglu, Mkhitaryan, Barella. They are lacking pace. You need one aggressive, more pacey midfielder in Nita. Obetimia joining that final third to add more depth into the game. And on the how, and they played into the hands of Luis Enrique. And until in the first half, they weren't dominating the ball, and they were trying to also start the ball from the back, which was one of their weakest things they were trying to do. You have Thuram, who are Dumfries. They are tall, they are good in the air. Until you start with one type of football, but born anything come out Thuram. On link here playing with one of the midfielders. Now for the most starting fin to Dumfries, there's something similar. So Osha Paris Saint-Germain this season. Obi a washe games this Champions League season. The moment to toss ombe win toss ombe pass first no. Or pass a ball na no abacho. And in the final they did something similar. Or pass a ball on the pen no abo acho. Jibon na almost starting press in your third, in your half. Until no na mo dey Inter Milan to say there were videos even going on social media. The moment asuma the ball on the beto no. Dembele ejina hot say obi a okwa asese onkochi aboabi. No set up say obe press. And Luis Enrique Bonabaso said in their team nipo press ye was Dembele. And that is one thing I know Mudimia Inter Milan team no. And the likes of Acerbi, Bastoni, even your friends and Bisek, any damn freeze, they are not good on the ball like that. Until the moment a ball never could they will force them to now kick the ball away and they will press you. So the best solution, and then can say Inzaghi call for was the route one type of football. Keep an itchy ball now. She should damn freeze. She should Thuram. Ni intimate started ball no fin. Now for the intimate possessive ball nko. So on the night they were very poor, and I think Inzaghi didn't know what he wanted to do. In the second half, he had a chance to make changes, but still, in Yame Paris Saint-Germain dominated, and they've been dominating from the start of your friend is saying the Champions League. They had a poor night in some games, but Senor Mutiminya, their structure well. No, they've been dominating. We saw it against some of the big teams, and they are deserving champions. And I don't think say if it was Real Madrid, if it was Barcelona, if it was Arsenal, if it was any big team against Paris Saint-Germain in the final, they would have still defeated them, and they are deserving champions.
Right. So so now a ban is here. Let's look at the now. Paris Saint-Germain, they've now started. What happens to Inter Milan? Their new coach. Will you suggest also Inter Milan and Pennyfono or some man in time? What do they do with this particular squad? Almost squad.
Yes, I think here Inzaghi, my Fabi Antunche, he's one of the finest coach in the world. A ban is say, say they don't come with a system, but they come to spoil a system. Into no with a system, say me baby possessive football there be. Whole system now the Baba be neutralizing, no matter take advantage of all. And until Barcelona, Bobo now, but they were using that high line to break them. Inzaghi is a good coach, but one thing is you can't go into competitions with aging players. To say about Bono, about be more of you possess ball. Let's use energy, let's use space. Into no be any top team biano or one pacey winger back on the team. Or one pacey winger. Ura Barcelona, Obenya Rafinha, Mom do two Mika, Real Madrid, Mbappe, Vinicius, Mudu two Mika, Chelsea, Madueke Mo, Jadon Sancho Mo, take advantage of you. And if you want to play the 3-5-2 system, meaning your midfield no 3-5-2 system nankasana is meant for your midfield 3 unhia a creative number 10 wom. Obi ti say me emfa ne say nkamedi obi toto ho a the likes of Jude Bellingham more they sniff goal. They can get into the penalty box early to do those tap-ins, to get those final balls. No, Unisana more aging 3 midfield. No, muntimi that up and down running. It makes your 3-back system not work. On the night, now it was a 3 against 3, but still encore. I think Inter Milan, Ome wini Syria no Magia, they've been champions. They've been dominating the league. Even seasons omo nyama nkoye at least in the second video timinya. But their target should be Europe. If you are targeting Europe, you need to spend. No munjai Terami mu free player yakofano. Anatovic free player yakofano. Some time ago omo kofa Alexis Sanchez mu free no makoformo. You need to spend. Get fullbacks, get midfielders they can dictate play. Barella is one of the best. But unhi obi obema in competition. Unhi that double tens or bet me right into the box and create chances and shoot, score goals. Into any other back home. Say Inzaghi betna they need to invest. They need to get quality players into their team, young boys, and blend the experience. Say Echihono, Bastoni Mune Asebi Mo, I don't have a problem. But in Finfino, you need energy. And they Joan Neves, Muni Vertinia, the way they distract opponents, the way they determine play, and no here. And they when Mkhitaryan and Çalhanoğlu, they can't hold possession for 10 minutes, for 5 minutes in pool. So they need that thing. I think in the summer, that's why we're busy because you can't go the chance of getting a treble then lose every trophy available. It's a bad season for Inter Milan. And they need to invest. Or more club directors, new owners, no, they need to put up money. Say Inzaghi bet Nadia, they need to buy quality players in their team and make sure say the position are being the likes of DiMarco, they are aging. Ultimus energy need new horse abium. They need to get competition. As we Dumfries mo any reference and Damian mo they are good. But they are also aging, so they need to bring in quality and make sure that this Inter Milan team is a good team. And also Inzaghi, so except variations, ban a 3-back, because it has been so rigid to the extent that every team send on bebo, so they know how to set up against them. So they need to be variations to help them. But I think they have a fine setup. They just need to add 1 or 2 players and make sure the team the performance was true. If we work on the Nyama Betimi Akoya, I think next season they can find for the Scudetto and also do well in the Champions League.
Okay. Yeah, transfers in kakra.
Yes, I think transfers there. I think Liverpool fan be a share say between their club and the Bayern Leverkusen then Ekoso. Florian Wirtz we transfer na ba beche in the Friday in Bekan say almost 2 weeks near who the Ekoso. Florian Wirtz or ba Liverpool now because as at now the player nama other clubs or mobile who na tia say kwan bia so no person about Liverpool because of Iron Slot we project our present man of Phillips is very good. I think as at now the only problem about be Sikano Liverpool say add-ons be bia nkonko si 130 ban Leverkusen so say at least omu jama na kodia omu so say kwan bia so ni 90 means 150 they are just 20 million short and they still negotiations so. But I think the Ama Liverpool are more relaxed near. There isn't any club coming in for Florian Wirtz. And as of now, I don't think the Man City would like to cough out 150. Real Madrid on coffee out 150. And the likes of teams are betting me the 150 in Abano. No, they don't need Florian Wirtz as of now. To say Chelsea in Paris Saint-Germain, they are not looking at getting Florian Wirtz into their team. Because their style of play doesn't really fit his style. In Liverpool needs to make sure they get their transfer done early and also go into that competitions and perform so well. In Florian Wirtz transfer na Babejina, I think by all costs Liverpool will get Florian Wirtz into their team. Bayern Leverkusen air 150 million because almost Mark Flecken of Brentford. And they me a fan.
I think they're
done deal. Yes, as of now a done deal.
And almost
Omakofa Kelleher if you Liverpool.
But I think business.
Yes, but I think that Kelleher transfer from Liverpool was a loose transfer for me. Kelleher is a very good goalkeeper. Selling him at 18 million was low for Liverpool.
Too low. But second way now.
Now he will be the third choice. But so, I think there are clubs coming from the Championship in Calbit meaning good money from them. The likes of Sheffield, Sunderland, and Sheffield United, 200 I show them, and they'll be eager to go for experienced players. So I think McFlecken called Bayern Leverkusen for 40 million. So why do you go in for 18 million and accept 18 million? Knowing say there's a team who knows who he goalkeeper. Liverpool, so what's your transfers for the last 5-6 years? Their asking price mostly a firm. They are one club as a Liverpool town player. The other baby piano or mobeji no more. You the money they spent on Balotelli and how they sold them out. It was very poor. And I think they need to get sporting directors. They will push in for more. Because we no brainer. Team no better goalkeeper no. And you say maybe a goalkeeper no so me pena a second backup. The goalkeeper no atono. Into so waji 40 ya. They say utiminya at least 30 film. The likes of Brighton. Say be a Brighton aton Ebias or Tom Sanchez ama Chelsea 60 million. And maybe a waton keeper, maybe a koto Brighton keeper, na Brighton the bema 18 there be that. Brighton will make sure Saskana kwaji yeno or beji higher percentage of film, which was wrong. I think Kelleher and Petrovic and Sanchez performance and Chelsea would have gone in for him because during the January transfer, who's a Chelsea, it didn't come say they can bring him onto their team and make sure say he can be their number one. But Petrovic made me about more than I think he's a good addition to the Brentford setup. He's a good ball playing goalkeeper. He's good. His saving rate also. You times he has come in to save Liverpool. Alisson in and Flecken also going to Leverkusen. Eric Ten Hag, the ball playing goalkeeper, one of the more key factor on the team. So getting a good ball playing goalkeeper, and I think he needs 1 or 2 additions on the right side. No, Frimpong Ekono, he will be obeying and also say Florian Wirtz. So we are hearing the names of Alejandro Garnacho and Anthony Musebi or Betri or Bayern Leverkusen, but I think he shouldn't make that mistakes again. Moving players from old clubs to his team. He should try and get new players who would come in and perform more. Anthony in the Bundesliga will perform here. Is in pressure and the league is a bit of like a slow performing league. And also Garnacho also be born in home, but I think he needs to go in for players about one. Dilap and they obey me in the medical say or Chelsea. There are rumors going on say number 9 JC no person or share. And Nyama Bibri, you ever start to show no boss. So say man name fat the 9 JC, but I think or believe this obey me share the 9 JC or move a man on share. As of now, the 19 JC was Sancho. Intino, I don't know. Say Sancho, what's in the salary? So I think Sancho so the conversation nache. Meba Muna yababe discuss more. But I think if the lap episode for the 9 JC no fa, but foot am the man say he needs to forget about the under 21 competition for England and go to the FIFA Club World Cup with Chelsea. Send the agent, any people closer to him be 24. That is the best competition because if you want to kick the ground running is the FIFA Club World Cup. A big competition. So opposite match Chelsea who say Champions League no bet me lead the line. That is where you need to go. So one no under 20 later Obabe started the Premier League now and fan home be. So he needs to go to that competition, perform so well, click with the likes of Noni Madueke Muko Palma more on my channel, get that partnership well. Now for the with me Chelsea team ni mu ye. But any number he would like to pick, I think he's a tough boy. I don't mean Jin this way will be this everyone says superstition in Yamane Bechino. He's a very tough boy. The way of going to games, he shows aggressiveness in Yama. So I think any number of JC or Peso or Fano, he can go in and also pick. With Jadon Sancho, I think me a Chelsea, Ebedu baby, I'll pull the contract out and send you back to Man United. I think the conversation is
also almost by
the end of this week, no more mano. And I think by the end of this week, if there isn't anything coming up, they should just pay the 5 million and send him back to Man United. Because this is a Chelsea team, they're good exposure. And they I said the next England call up because of the performance I done with Chelsea. So if you believe say you are the Jadon Sancho and perform so well, breaking or coming down with your salary and performing well and later getting a salary increment at the back on the agent they should do. As of now, me or no, I'll push Chelsea that will reduce my salary to maybe 120, but I'll sign a short contract. So Chelsea for 5 years, 7 years, they be men signing. Mama me 3 years. Na meji 120. Inti apart from me performance ne question, na mo ye den mo to mame. But on the other hand, Man United then so many beji say Chelsea be return Jadon Sancho. Because as of now, no, say Chelsea a fan, Chelsea to 25. But so go back to Man United, maybe Italian clubs and any other club will be Man United bet me 120 if you want, a bet me a bet me 40 million if you may bet me a bomb. So I think he has up to the end of the weekend to decide. That would also decide on say Chelsea back for the Gittins. As of now, Rodrigo, the conversation or person no prove a point at Roma Madrid. I think that Rodrigo transfer will surely die off. Sisiani Nababijina, Gittins and Alejandro Garnacho. Between these two, I would go for Gittins instead of Garnacho. I think that Garnacho ego and then the dressing room gimmicks, no Chelsea here Sisia. Because there are times he who's a Man United ni nuance and cousin Baby release Man United informations and needs to be in the dressing room, which is something a Chelsea team no here see. And I think Enzo Maresca with standard of best no. I don't think say he will go in for Garnacho at anything. So Gittins will be one player likely Chelsea beat me for, but the price tag Enzo Ebabe Frankfurt and so train Chelsea on the Ketiki. Say kwan bia so Chelsea face ka Mbefano, but their price no more mention ya Debakwa. Ababe headaches say ama Chelsea because they are not looking at paying that much for a young coming talent and Untino. Frankfurt and so I player be or minds. Whereas a Chelsea Babe fan kwan bia so they will go in and get with a friend is saying that minds player or Babe Boa Omonso. With Man United, and I think they are one of the hottest teams on transfers. So mbeti me on transfers ye. Ama nyameti me akoye. As of now, in the Friday in your boss, how much they can be able to make on with a friend is saying players they will sell. And as of now, the information going out say Ineos Mo are giving Ruben Amorim 125 million to make signings plus sell-ons on betimi aye. Inti so Otimiya 125. Ne Otimi ton Sancho 25 e kan ho ababe 150. Rashford, it depends on if Barcelona will come in because Liverpool reduce your price tag no on Luis Diaz to 50 million. So between 50 of Luis Diaz and 40 of Rashford, the Barcelona beat me for so to 40 for Rashford. Now if the Babe 190. That Bruno Fernandes transfer is something I'm expecting Man United to do. Quite be so they need to do it. We've seen clubs like Chelsea. Omoko transfer band. They took 100 plus from your friend is saying Hazard. And the Boama Chelsea team here 1 or 2 additions. And I think Man United needs to do that. Get 100 million for Bruno Fernandes. Now if they scan about do almost 300 million. And I think going into next season, they can build a good squad. Meaning the virus at the better swamamia. With Man United squad, I think next season, if they can get these players and perform so well, a bit me abu amuye. Inti, this is the squad I think next season Man United should add up. In goalkeeping, you know, as of now, goalkeeper friend is Juan Gracia. As of now, Barcelona, it's me and the service. I need Obeko Barcelona. So I think Savage, one player bit me about into this lineup. Inti, with Onana. So much good offer made me a ton. So I think Savage will be one player to come in. On the right hand side, I think between Maguire and Maserawi, they could keep both of them too. They don't need to add any defender there. In the middle, no, delete any heavens. They can partner and Maguire to be able to help. And now on the left hand side, Yolo, any Martinez can fit into that role. So defensively, I don't think Man United here any additions. But if some on business is a way, now if you don't feel it, so Scanibiaka, we can go in for a defender. I think Diamonte of Sporting is one player they would eye and try and bring in. On the left wing back position, Edinori of Wolves, he's available. Uma Wolves 40 million, 30 million, they will sell him for you. He could come in and help Dogu. And I'm seeing him say Oni Dogi bear occupy that left wing back position. So Man United are ready to meet me at now. They have this academy player, I'll be back. My friend Vasquez. He's very good. He's very good on the wings, and he can add a lot to their team. In Oni Ahmad, me occupy that right wing back position. You who say Ahmad playing in that 10 row no, Mbuano, because of person touch line anymore, no the ball is shout. And in the middle, Watkins, one player I'm looking at they going in for. He's good on the ball, defensively he's solid. Into Onini Ugarte, bet me a pair on one side. Casemiro, I think experience wise, Bruno Kodia, they need to keep Casemiro. Their games have been here and the experience. You in the Europa League or Bemu Ebe wow, etimi manyama, etimi koye. And they to Casemiro, Kobimenu, Watkins, or Mutimiana, any Ugarte, it can perform as good for that four in no Mushe. Kunia, says you the Naka team no. So on that right 10 row no, Kunia any Zegzi, a bit me occupy that row non performance, a bit me a koye. And some bit me room, etimi nya checky. Ahead of Manchester City and Kebet me a bomb team. So either Cheki, Imbuemo, or Eze. These are three players. I think they can come in. One can come in and help Mason Mount. Also on the left 10 row. Strikers is delete. Delete 8 me Raman, 8 me era. Your friends say delap. Sorry, 8 me era Chelsea. So since strikers are available, Osimhen and Victor Gyokeres. And from information I think Victor Osimhen no. As a Chelsea for penny in Mumpahe. Because rumors, conversations have died off. Into Man United can enter into that race. 60 million for Victor Osimhen on Betimania. And the way at Napoli, they don't want Victor Osimhen back. No. They can stretch the amortization and pay in like 3-4 windows. It will be something Victor Osimhen, Victor Gyokeres, their names are big clubs in Atrium. So they can go in and I think without Bruno Fernandes money and this 300 million, they can get in good players. Ruben Amorim, without European competition, next season, obey me targeting the FA Cup and the Carabao. It's me one trophy. Make sure say next season or don't be the Champions League or any European competition. I think it will be a successful season as a coach. So in the world of transfer, the Nyama Koso, 1st of June, and a FIFA BA, the transfer window mark collapse on Meko FIFA Club World Cup. Free and echo, we will see the likes of Chelsea, the likes of Paris Saint-Germain, the likes of Real Madrid adding 1 or 2 players into that competition. A bit me a ball.
Okay, right. Yeah, and share Ghana Premier League. Resource kakra. It to me by Mami Shena Memfa Emma. Resource kakra abaye. Yasem kito. Ha yenhwe Champions League. CAF Champions League. Yeah. Pyramids name and Lady Sanders. 3-2 on aggregate. First when 1-1. Sundowns considered last minute goal and no any deal munya. I watched the game and Charlie. Yes. So now Sundowns up to now want to win the Champions League. Though much Super Cup and want to win the Champions League no. Ali ne I think the Egyptian teams ne disturb you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, I think so. Ushe Pyramids from performance into this season's CAF Champions League or my bomb more. So me compare them to a team like Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain, they were known like unknown team. And no matter the football about making things and planning on what you want to do. It's a way we're doing so better to nyama ye. Sikasem players who coach obedi we nimene nyama betimi aboa and they have been able to win their first CAF Champions League. But I think Africa Champions League no, I was having one problem with it. I think that two-legged final no, eso mushe no mutimi be found. Because I think in football it brings a whole lot of things. I think it's a good game mutimba mama Lodi Sandals and so about team omo so etimi abom homodin. They were a known club back in like 2015 hoko. No be any mama Lodi Sandals, but they were able to put in good performance, put in good money, and now they've been able to get to where they are. So I think final they're quite be so no be lose be win. So by Egyptian clubs in home. So I think next season they will perform so well and make sure say they'll make sure say against the Egyptian clubs, you know, they'll put up good performance. But Mebo Pyramids for Abaso, they've been able to do well and also make other teams they are coming in field. Say the African Champions League, no, Obo Humodi now to Nyama year. Unsu betimi remetimi abo Humodi etimi aji that maiden competition a betimi abo in going forward, especially in FIFA Club World Cup. As your imagine say. Ombebon as a tournament, no, any umbetimi nya ho kwan etimi ewem enso akwa ball more against one of the best teams in Europe.
Right. Andra saying a resource in here Ghana League no. Dream self si Accra Lions so likely say Accra Lions relegation. Kotoko 3-2. Gold Stars Bibiani goes Brekum Chelsea 3-2. Hearts of Lions 2-1 became 2-1. And Holy Stars any Nations FC Hona Sam no. Holy Stars near first penalty, second penalty na Nations for some mobile. Karela share Young Apostles 3-0. Has share Legon Cities and our Vision was awarded 3 points because of a year in Swatrama and Samates and Adriana Stars 2-1. You share a year game and I think you were 30 minutes so.
Yes, I think senior league in the air corner. League ne kon the kwan bia so between nations. So game no meaning the information about if it will be played again between nations be any Gold Stars and also Kotoko. These three teams na kwan bia so no. If you are going into the last game no muba ko betimi then Agile League no. But I think our league every season this thing has become so consistent to the extent league we are getting match being abundant, we are getting games they are too I say in quote I say yebebo ball no be nim score line in points and yebebo game no, which I think the FA needs to set up. Last season you something similar, this season in so season we are seeing things like that happening again. I think it's so bad and it's so poor, especially for our league. Say open sponsorships, open TV rights, open obi or this kababe shemu ama nyame timi akoyia. These are things that shouldn't be happening. Yehu at the start of the season na Accra Lions for complaining about game omo ball ne come final third no so mkoshe go penny aje offside and na meno so no omo jai game ne ball. And then this has been something similar to Holy Stars. So Holy Stars our league being their first time getting into the league. Utimi what that courage to be able to push other teams and make them feel say how about kwan bia so say shewa ade ba ko anu ye din. Indra, there was some information on Twitter meaning say virus the better so amamia before the BBN Gold Stars any Brekum Chelsea game no. Guy be a friend William in cancer ebe tweet 2 hours before the game. Say the game no BBN Gold Stars be 2.
Obesha 3.
Brekum Chelsea be 2. Na BBN Gold Stars sache 3. Na BBN Gold Stars player ba ku be 2 goals. Na list obi o share picture it to mu say we your friend is saying on the top no any results of the game. And pam Brekum Chelsea player ba ku 2 goals and the game ended in a 3-2. And it's something I don't think say maybe or that sorry no soon that no who say there no. Ana or one maybe we vision be each there no the who say bibi say betimi si. Adentini say the player to me 2 goals no on the leading goal king no. So the likelihood say on betimi a 2 goals etimi agi ni goal king ni dey obehye. Then the results ni baby ebe ko bia no e be emfa team no. And there's something at the FA the sports ministry ankasa in Ghana so mutimi bo rasa ade because e ba Ghana football as a whole no and a Ghana sports as a whole no and a identity and image because yemfa say this information and this message is on social media. There are other football blogs outside the world that umbehu sa ade we they will get this information, they will be able to see this thing ne ochina say who ton player bi if we league we akwa bi ochira on few because the player numbers onya and fix no dinya those numbers. into on befasa player and nko. So it's something that the FA needs to set up, unless maybe they are okay with Inyame Ekoso. If they are not okay with Inyame Ekoso, we heard rumors say next season maybe Super Sports will come in and broadcast the league. It's a Super Sports broadcasting league now. This information, this bad PR, ever call outside to the world. It's very poor. You bought Abuche League. You the last Premier League games, Newcastle against Everton. Now, quite be as Everton or this are 3 points near day. On fine, the likes of your friend is saying, we friend is a Man United, Aston Villa. Man United don't for 3 points near she. But they went in and fought for their badge, for their club, for the experience of the league. Emma Everton ko share Newcastle. In kase be can say member says kasem ni bibia. In can Newcastle beat me to yan ho Everton. Say ma men show na menko. Man United ni Aston Villa. Amana Man United player wa Aston Villa. Sa Aston Villa qualify Champions League. Obetimi enye sika, etimi di bi etua sika no. Rashford. But you could see saying oyele no ho share no. That is what brings the excitement of football. That is what makes the football obi a person or share no ekonenim. But say bobo na nei team no energy so mami play and share 2 goals. Na fa ho share me na kwa. Emma that sponsorship deal, emma the excitement number. Inti FA no this match is also in match week 33 no. Their matches be where so mutimi hwe etimi remu etimi match teams ne be feel say yes. This result no ye njintum. And some of behaviors are clubs be so done it, you know. You be punish you because this season ended near Ankosi next season on beto so. You do final days teams need be on far results near you be tonwa jiska. Teams need be feel say obi obetimi akwa ko twa ewo betting platform be agini sika akọ no be oba ko twa agini sika akọ. So the FA needs to be a bit serious about the league because is the way a friend is saying is their baby. And they say FA ni person timinya sponsorship deals. So to be timinya ska eba league maybe impo ekoso the divisions ne so a. It's the Ghana Premier League. Nti so mtimi bo mo they make sure so mo toto nyama ye because the way a nyama akọ even game week 33 in the game week 34 ne there ya nya lucky a fixed matches e be nya no. Ebe buru adwene nti ase so because now the league race no aba be kete it's just few points 1-2 points between the teams on betimi age league no into any match fixing no man bomb homodi and form ne sifema even as at today from today to tomorrow person me who say FA new release statement on this game on this holy stars for nyama course so and also this Brekum Chelsea any BB any goal stars match and also course no and make sure say the Ghanaian people or more share games no they will feel comfortable watching the games or share comment section under poster yeah we are. It's not surprising to everybody. Obia say, oh, minim say betimi esi. Oh, minim say betimi esi last season e course. So, like to the extent that people are even pushing say, massa, what the last game no benya match say in my and it's very poor for a league like Ghana Premier League. In the 2000s, we were dominating Africa. Never CAF Champions League, ever CAF Confederation Cups, we were dominating and winning. Upe club Africa, obetimi aboni din say bia. You need the Real Madrid mu yebebo has ne kotokodi and these are clubs they are nowhere to be found and they slot in the CAF Champions League about to 1 you slot in the Confederation Cup about down to 1 first we were dominating this tournament we here the likes of Kotoko the likes of Haas to be able to make the tournament perform so well you the likes these two teams were able to get into the final and make that maiden competition very successful and our clubs are not even getting there. It was recent dreams mutimiti Ghana in Kakra going into the competition and performing so well. We are not getting our teams going there based on say the corruption any match fixing ni nyama ba kumi no bi aboa men league ni nya the exposure no into players na ball league no omutu kwan kwa abuchira omuntimi bobo no because no they are getting the chance ebe ukona ko she goals na faji udin into okọ baby ezo otimi born homodin she sa goals no ntimi no makwa no masamba into yentutu yen league ni ye na mboa players they are upcoming quality players in the league omu here this exposure to be able to get out there into en say antutu yen nyama ye kotia yen kola na ye bom homodin so person omutimi ko etimi bobo ni ye no muntimi ndo because ye bedu baby no ye bebo odin obobo wo free Ghana Premier League wo she 20 goals yen jin this e kwa na otimi share sa goals no ko he bia match fixing bi na ma wo nya those goals no ebia na akwala na bon homodi nti ene the FA needs to sit up maye who this last days na afi the match fixing I say me here point into kwan bia so no away team no about medi nya say me ye bibi ma ne ho kire no na metimi nya ene nso atweman point omu change na based on something similar ekosi sa nti ene FA ni ntimi form na nsi fam no mu ntutu nya maye na league ni koneni I think say Ghana league ni koneni ma we'll get even we friends and sports shows outside the country they would like to come into the league and talk about the league because the league is giving experienced players. The leagues are doing so well and I'm soon so I think match week 33 in the disappointing results for some of the teams and also the news going around is something is very disappointing. So
I'm sure honum kakra because you say more time was
okay.
Dr. Kwame Chase will no no say or then who be share
league
and it's very rich man now they are contemplating some be pull it out. I don't know say if a threat say and until my man win the league now say they I don't know
list to any threat you know who the way football business enya de ketwa the money that goes into football especially in a league sponsorship deals enya yedin football investing in football at the back wedding even in Europe you who time at Chelsea call transfer Chelsea nya ban there ye Freezy Abramovich muwe they were finding it difficult to get things done honam be who say they spend almost getting to $1 million on even trying to coordinate and go for a league game and then Ghana is something similar obi investing in sika of football mubia is looking at and yes any don't know what football ne pay but obi investing in sika e business be mu hwe say onu so betimi repeat BBA film inti enei ubeto team ubetua players ubetua coaching staffs ube make sure say other staffs are yemfa enimpo honhom they are being paid well they are being doing their work well nyama betimi akoyi na ene ubekwa akobo ball then in the 90 minutes no e be a referee or an opponent or a home team will decide what will happen into preparation out here from Monday down to that league day no akogu kwa because of obi here point in their ABB and obi here that particular win in their akoso ni BB sunti no ni ya be frustrate you. So if a businessman a well rich man is trying to pull himself out of the league so the FA needs to set up. Who times Accra Lions were looking at pulling themselves out because of Okwa away games so it's something the league they need to up their game. Make sure say teams and just say protect the traditional teams they has no kotokomo derby, but let's make the league perform so well. Share other leagues so some of the teams Tottenham Man United man that 17 16th eka relegation teams now perform yanka they will go on relegation and your honor league ni be na adwin so ko protect you went man born humodin ya ubeko and that is what we some seasons back you the likes of big teams ni be an komuko relegations they got protection to be able to be in the league intina na so training who fi league ni menye mo because untimi prepare into our players enye bibia possible say players ni nkonko win match a difference wakọ na coach ni tactics anfa performance anko you know makwa lose game no benei team ni be call into that final ekwa board that game na afedi ya chichire ne nsa ni age point na mobi ade ba ko yi and other fixtures na call so the likes of Kotoko Dreams FC yes they deserved we modern Dreams me win Kotoko say see that league title ni they were able to win any abetamoa etiminya hat-trick ewo ebo Kotoko inti osha some of the teams etiminya crucial House of Folk 2-0 win against Legon City. I think it was an expected way result and Legon Cities omo pray kwan bia so no be relegation because point no more any Accra Lions or so call any a friend is saying Holy Stars
to be a miracle because Karela draw
Karela nya draw we a friend saying Bekum Chelsea onya draw ko no so call then the Bible Gina Young Apostles any your friend is saying Holy Stars game on bebo so mutumi lose dia meaning say your friend is saying House of Lions the Legon Cities any Accra Lions team bio metima unti Bekum Chelsea Beko Mediama on the last game Mediama nso baby odano ono nso renew e hwa no beda na menhwe Legon Cities nso beko Dreams ono nso ni Dreams bebo Dreams nso position odano e o safer side I think ombe here those two wins ni year to make sure some bet me I will Holy Stars ono nso betu kwan obekọ Aduana oni Aduana bekọ akobo Aduana nso position oda no eno nso o aye safe kakra na Young Apostles nso bekọ Bechem United enso ni omakọ akobo nti I say omo battle relegation no omo fixtures no mbebo ni na anya against the top sides against mid table sides ho eze ni ko those fixtures ni so yie papa because no na one yellow kia obetimi nya match fixing kakra bi wo ho ntese o mani ko those fixtures ni so na enei my ma league ni mba mbe se ye be ko na wie ya omo hia point omo hia goals omo hia we ni ebo omo nya because eno na ma league no the excitement again ni bia person odene ni TV to channel bi yi league ni hwe no ebe yi so odo ne fi omu enei I don't think say ukokrum na obisa nkofo bebre league no when that first impo bebre betimi abo because we've made that excitement in the league ne ko nti na SF ni timi tutu omunyama yi na ebia senior boss no say bia senior we be event saying Nations FC owner person otwe ne ho free league na ma no so nti ebia ombe manage league ne da bi yenye ne sa ball ne ball nti no bia wo 34 matches say so omobo performance ko ni na wo na league ne fata wa na e de amaw nti sa na ese ekono ma ebi obi enfant ebia ne comment on something is okay enya hwe ye ma ne nkosa esa na other teams no nso de o ma ho odin bo no omo nso enya da ahoodin ne mfa mbobium league ne de obi aye ne ho bo ye mbo ehomodin se FA ni betimi de a ehu ahyemu yie referees any match officials omo nso call on the day match centers no omo nso mbo homodin so omo nso betimi abo ama game na fair free and fair send you obi obetimi abo homodin onu nso betimi ewini no wetimi anya de so onya a free game no.
Right, yes. Na me de kakra me ka ade afa nations for mo we ni so mo kope baby na. Omo ne case Nations FC. Is we as mo the oh we of one sir no I dey wa hwe de. Nations FC money case. Money case mo kope baby na. Mo be free league na mo free. Obi ampa macho obi asoma mo obi ansoma mo
Balisto said the Holy Stars for them so yeah nye
omo ye de
na penalty
ya de a Nations for na so be den e be ye
okay
ya look at Kotoko Go Stars Kotoko per league aje can you imagine say the clean goal na Samson Edu kunu kura so Kotoko for per apamu no imagine say sa go ni eji ya aka ni go no Emma Kotoko aje league but referee say pray offside ana Kotoko de aja omo be show because omo nim say omo so be to omo na so say ya omo so be ye obi bi Nations for omo 11 wonders omo bo 11 wonders captain ye fe no Sims ko aye komu kuno e wo abrankese omo bu no komu kuno onim kwa Nations for fast qualify no omo wo Johnson Smith fi Kotoko no oko Nations ena na Nations for no nyeda nhyada anyada no ana omo kofa amisa ena Johnson Smith ye den e call Sky no na that time Nations ye from be kwa youth academy BYC say BYC ena amisa ekura we no ena Johnson Smith ko fa Sky SC was qualifying that season. That Sky na qualify. They were topping the group. 1 hour to a game. You should coach no Johnson Smith wa yira. You should na ye de ye hu no. Okosie mu 5 good days. Or returning or catch him so or resigning na Oko Nations. And Oko catch Nations for say Nkofo almost sambo ebidin. Timi kwachi protest. Say mimi fear ko different podcasts. Mimi ko ye na makwa catch a new podcast na me ko say munko hwa ase ebia. We mo illegal connection na so mo ye we. Ni aba be chi we mu na ye say me yen ya fa ho. Say yen de na yeti. That was what they did. Highly unprofessional because when you sign contract, your secrecy.
confidentiality
adia uhu ibia na wose wo ye den e wose wo ye din wo so wo ba ye ade bia wo hu bia no e wose ka dwuma nim ti ba bia ye adwuma se ye mpanifo ana se ye kase ye be expose ye mpanifo na ye mpanifo se omo expose ye ya akamanfo benya ye pa but because of say wo be mi ni nti menyama bia eye den enko ye ni ade no wo na ode wani hu me so me de mani hu wo de it ye keep between us. Say you're quite a separate way, sir. You keep that secret forever and ever. That is why ye diaba ukobe bia or employment contract. Eshemu say untumi ko discuss it. Adwuma ni mu asem abontene. Even if ofie adwuma ni mu you cannot go and discuss it. Yeah. But nations for ehun say omuni option bia omuni we bia omuni say Ghana ha club bia aye change of wenti no e no mo kopu coach omo jan kwan man ko mo pam no e no mo diska ko dada no na Johnson Smith returning oba ya no bechuki sky for no oba ya no bechuki sky for no enamusu munim se mafia e na meka no league no mo bo no e se koto ya cheche koto na e de gu ayimu that same eno bia keka no yonkunti mo keka mo ho last man standing no ye the league na ma no ye the league table na ye den ama no league trophy na ye den ama no mo keka mo ho wa wo be wuntem no na wa relegation keka wa vi wa ye be kaw kese no na relegation. That is the point.
And now wa mu nyedu no ni epia ko
exactly. Look at Car Lions model omo yusu ye the referee be yaw hard one ebe onwa wafa omo anu mu kura correct model ni nyina they are all going down omo nyina go down liberty professionals tama youth they are making sure say yeah the system na den akrepo omo nyina they are going because Car Lions you cannot continue competing in a league traveling across all the country and at the end of the season now then sapan who does that but who go second division now and mo bo won kran ya you have opportunity to buy young players.
No, more modern is more of like
yes.
grooming boys.
And in the second division, you do it there. Now, right to dream. Second division no more. Second division no more. Mu grooming oma. Inti Akala they should go there. So you fast. They should go down. Talent in the will be. Say no. I was 70 age ne so. Ebi as a first in 10 years mo famra 7-8 say na be am wit ma kire nkran because they say course we no enya papa bia biem nti say one chi akran ne ntem one che basics na wo mani drew 16 there about na eya na ni we na heading
yeah
to omonti we because man say right to dream say so matter so mo dey about 10 years 8 years now no ya say boy ya oba be boy on be hu na di on be hu no papa ni nim nyansa me say ade a ade adwene ye bia nipa kokko obroni kokko tuntum ni mfa ne ho toto no da so person do ho toto na jai eye nantwibi na wodi no na so ko space wo bi ebra ko space wo bi bra ko space wo ba ye no be dis ankomo no oba ya no hwe ye system na no zi nkofo we corrupt people obe invest say o person obo league na obe tu sikagu etima me nkosi academy na me make sure say any me compete in second division na me top players Car Lions mu owner no oye big German man
yeah
obetimi ape Germany third division na right to dream model na bi ogrumi o ma na o de o ma fa hoko no wa mama ko boa because whole competition was soro wa ko boa na wa start distribute o na wo ton you get a yes guy we dey up and then na mama basa left back here ko your boy dream self dey no to me boy on the na ba on to me amo ba won se mo dey no mo grooming ye no on se ko wa kam mo players o mo ko bi o mo ko kam anso we mu dey o mo ko no masa ba metima catch on dream self players o maton o masa ba enya sem getwa ebi kura ni team biem but o mo 23-24 years almost some brutal eya lo near the national team e bedu mo profile ni ade You see them a play or no Barcelona or to me ball will be left back. Even at some point, Barcelona fans were pushing, say, Omra made and made deputize it body. Yeah, quite 20 young friend. Blasters players a cobo a young friend. But I near Freddy or no to bench no. Near Freddy or no yet at the bench. It's nations for no. Amunko play baby intina. Munkonkoda zai aze ba bi hu mobo mo na mo se mo de mo na mo se mo bi ma mo pa mo bag na mo nko obie ni obepa mo cho ye ka kire mo se football ni nko yie no na mo bi mo sore akwa ba ko bi wo ni hu nyenye nyan no kan kwase asem o ti papa na station o no kan kwase asem ene ka fe won de and I've regretted. Unya regretted. Football be sound sick nyina. Now Africa na be sound sick nyina. Be shock you. Say this is no maba no. Fake for no. Wo ye money laundry ya lo alobi. O ma show nyama be freeze account. Waso be ye brutal. And the ball no aye entam say wo se wujai no. Ene ejai because ball no hwinim. Wo place here wo yi. Why now betimi so also turn it na ko Europe akwa ko pesca. Obi enu wa betimi turn it akwa Europe akwa ko pesca. Obi enu ho no kra na me ka kire mo no. Mo player na obo we no maka che onya de. Mudamu defender na onya de. Blasters mo ne mo 2 million times me say onya de. Ho. Chale ne de. Ene matches share the want bank run na mo de mo twa bisa. Me din the list to Ote Benedict Kanyame adom ochena ye bese hia ene osuo ne virus na hwema ye stream asaka atukwan kakra saka I've missed you o say we return in time Kanyame adom ye bese hia yakram